We live in a world where the mind never stops. You wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, you're already thinking, what if I fail? What if I'm not enough? What if I choose wrong? And that's the trap, not life, not failure. Thinking too much about life becomes the very thing that steals it from you. Overthinking is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. And most people spend their whole lives trapped in that chair, moving, worrying, analyzing, yet never living. But here's the truth. You can't think your way into a new life. You have to act your way into one. The moment you stop waiting for perfect answers and start taking imperfect action, you begin to reclaim your power. So today, I want to show you how to break free from that mental prison. Because when you stop overthinking and start living, everything changes. Your energy, your confidence, your results, your happiness. Let's break this down into 6 key principles that will help you escape the trap of your mind and finally live freely and fully. Your mind is powerful, but if you don't learn how to direct it, it can become your greatest enemy. Most people don't realize that the voice inside their head, the one constantly warning, doubting, and replaying old fears, isn't truth, it's protection. Your mind was designed to keep you safe, not to make you happy. It evolved to avoid pain, risk, and rejection. But in today's world, that same instinct can hold you hostage. You start thinking about what might go wrong, what people might say, or how you might fail, and that endless cycle of what if becomes your cage. You live inside your head analyzing, predicting, worrying, until your dreams shrink down to the size of your fears. The first step toward breaking that cycle is realizing you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are patterns, echoes of your past, habits of your mind, but they are not you. You are the one who observes those thoughts. The moment you notice that inner voice and say, there it is again, you've already created distance. That small space between you and your thoughts is your power. It means you have a choice. You can either believe every fearful story your mind tells you or decide to direct your focus somewhere else. That's where freedom begins, not by silencing the mind completely, but by refusing to let it run your life. When you overthink, you let your mind drive without guidance. It spirals into old fears, magnifies mistakes, and invents problems that don't even exist. You convince yourself that thinking more will give you control, but the truth is the opposite. The more you think, the more anxious and uncertain you become. Overthinking feeds on attention. It grows stronger every time you give into it. But if you step back, breathe, and remind yourself that your mind is simply doing what it was programmed to do, protect you, then you can thank it for trying to help and choose differently. You must train your mind the way an athlete trains their body. It takes repetition, awareness, and discipline. Every time your mind drifts into fear or doubt, catch it and pull it back. Replace, if I fail, with what if I grow? Replace, I can't handle it, with I'll figure it out. Words matter because they shape your emotional state. When your language changes, your energy changes. You can't stop thoughts from appearing, but you can decide which ones deserve your attention. Most people believe they need to think more to find clarity, but clarity doesn't come from thinking. It comes from deciding. You don't need to solve everything in your head before you act. You need to trust yourself enough to act even when you're unsure. The truth is, you'll never eliminate uncertainty. You'll just become stronger than it. Every time you choose to move despite fear, you teach your brain a new lesson that you are capable. That's how confidence is built, not from certainty, but from courage. You also have to understand that overthinking is often just fear disguised as logic. It pretends to be rational. I just need to make the right decision. But underneath, it's your mind trying to keep you in the familiar. The unknown feels dangerous even when it's full of opportunity. So the mind whispers, wait, think more, be sure. And you listen because it feels safe. But what's safe isn't always what's right. The life you want lives beyond the wall of what feels comfortable. If you truly want to stop overthinking, you must shift your focus from problems to possibilities. The mind can't hold fear and gratitude at the same time. When you focus on what you're thankful for, your energy changes instantly. You step out of fear and into presence. In that state, you don't need to have all the answers. You just need to take the next step. You can always adjust your direction later. What matters is that you stop letting your thoughts control your actions and start letting your vision guide you. The mind is a tool, not a master. When you learn to use it that way, it becomes your greatest ally instead of your greatest prison. Perfection sounds like a noble goal, but in reality, it's the silent killer of progress. Most people never realize how deeply perfectionism is tied to fear. The reason you keep waiting for the right time, the perfect plan, or the ideal circumstances isn't because you're careful. It's because you're afraid. You're afraid of being judged, afraid of failing, afraid of what people will think if you get it wrong. So you disguise your hesitation as preparation. You convince yourself that you're not ready yet, that you just need more time, more research, more clarity. But deep down, you know what's really happening. You're stalling. You're choosing the illusion of safety over the power of progress. The truth is, nothing will ever be perfect. There is no perfect time to start a business, to change your life, to chase a dream, or to walk away from what no longer serves you. Perfection is a moving target that keeps you running in circles. It's a mirage that disappears every time you think you're close. The people who make it happen, the ones who create impact and live with purpose, aren't the ones who wait for perfect conditions. They're the ones who start when things are messy, uncertain, and uncomfortable. They understand that clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. You can plan your life for years and still not feel ready, because readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. The moment you decide to take action despite your doubts, you begin to build momentum. And momentum is what breaks the grip of overthinking. Every step you take, even if it's imperfect, sends a message to your brain that you are moving forward. Suddenly, you're not stuck in analysis anymore. You're in motion. And that motion gives you feedback, direction, and energy that no amount of thinking ever could. Perfectionism is rooted in control. When you chase perfection, what you're really trying to do is eliminate uncertainty. You want to make sure nothing goes wrong, that you'll never be embarrassed, that you'll never fail. But control is an illusion. Life is unpredictable. No matter how much you plan, something will always surprise you. And that's a good thing, because that's where growth happens. When you finally accept that mistakes are part of the process, failure becomes feedback, not defeat. You stop fearing what could go wrong and start learning from what actually happens. Every master was once a beginner. Every person you admire started messy, unsure, and unprepared, but they acted anyway. They understood that progress is built one imperfect step at a time. Think about it. A child doesn't learn to walk by studying balance. They fall, they wobble, they try again. And because they don't judge themselves for falling, they get stronger. Somewhere along the way, adults forget that truth. We become so afraid of failing that we stop trying altogether. We trade growth for comfort, movement for control. When you act imperfectly, you gain experience. When you wait for perfection, you gain nothing but frustration. The world doesn't reward those who wait. It rewards those who begin. There's a simple rule: start now, refine later. You can always improve as you go. What you can't do is build momentum standing still. Every small action you take compounds into confidence. Each time you move forward, you strengthen your belief that you can handle uncertainty. And the more you trust yourself, the less you need things to be perfect. Progress, not perfection, is the real measure of success. The most powerful moments in your life won't come from flawless execution. They'll come from courageous imperfection. Because every time you take action, even if it's small, you're building a bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the life you dreamed of didn't arrive when everything was perfect. It arrived when you finally stopped waiting for it to be. You can't think your way into confidence, joy, or courage. You have to move your way there. The fastest way to shift your emotions is through your body, because motion creates emotion. Every thought you have is linked to a physical state. When you sit still, slouch, breathe shallow, and stare at the ground, your brain receives a signal that you're powerless, uncertain, or fearful. But when you stand tall, move with intention, breathe deeply, and take action, you send a completely different message, one of strength and control. You can change your mood faster by moving your body than by thinking positive thoughts for hours. Most people don't realize how deeply their body controls their mind. When you overthink, your body freezes. You sit still, your breathing becomes tight, your shoulders hunch, and your energy collapses. That posture tells your brain that something's wrong. The brain, always trying to protect you, responds with more anxious thoughts, creating a loop that traps you in inaction. The key to breaking that loop isn't to think harder or try to calm your mind. It's to interrupt the pattern physically. Stand up, stretch, walk, breathe. Move your body with power. It might seem simple, but it's one of the most effective tools for transforming your emotional state. When you move, you shift your focus. You stop feeding the thought spiral. Every step, every deep breath, every small action tells your nervous system that you're in control. Movement grounds you in the present moment. It gets you out of your head and back into your body, where life actually happens. You can't think your way into peace. You have to act your way into it. That's why athletes, performers, and high achievers use rituals of motion before doing something important. They jump, stretch, breathe powerfully, not because they're warming up their muscles, but because they're aligning their energy and commanding their emotions. The mind and body are always communicating. When you change one, the other follows. If you want to feel confident, move like someone who is confident. If you want to feel alive, move like someone who is alive. Your physiology shapes your psychology. This is why people who exercise regularly often have more mental clarity and resilience. They've learned to regulate their emotions through movement. But you don't have to run a marathon to change how you feel. Sometimes it's as simple as walking outside, changing your breathing pattern, or raising your voice with power. Overthinkers often wait for motivation to appear before taking action. They say, I'll do it when I feel ready, but that's backward. You don't wait for motivation. You create it through movement. Action generates emotion, not the other way around. The moment you move, you disrupt the pattern of hesitation. You tell your brain, I'm not stuck, I'm in control. The more you act, the more your mind follows. You can't stay anxious while breathing deeply and moving with purpose. Your body simply won't allow it. Think about how many times you felt stuck or trapped in thought only to feel better after taking a walk or doing something physical. That's not coincidence. That's biology. Your nervous system responds instantly to movement. Even changing your environment can shift your perspective. When your surroundings change, your brain sees new possibilities. That's why staying still while overthinking only makes things worse. You're feeding the same thoughts in the same space, expecting a new outcome. Movement breaks that loop and gives your mind fresh input to work with. Every time you take action, no matter how small, you send your mind a message that you're capable. You reclaim your energy, your confidence, and your presence. The opposite of overthinking isn't clarity, it's movement. Clarity comes after you act, not before. So if you want to stop spiraling in doubt, start moving. Do something, anything. Because when your body leads, your mind follows. When you take charge of your motion, you take charge of your emotion, and that's where your power begins. Overthinking is a desperate attempt to control what you can't. You replay the past, predict the future, and exhaust yourself trying to manage every possibility as if thinking more will guarantee safety. But life doesn't work that way. The more you try to control everything, the more powerless you feel. The truth is simple. You can't control outcomes, people, or the world around you. You can only control your effort, your attitude, and your actions. When you finally accept that truth, you experience a freedom that overthinking could never give you. Every moment you spend obsessing over what you can't control is a moment you steal from what you can. You can't control how others see you, but you can control how you show up. You can't control what happens next, but you can control how you respond. You can't control whether life gives you comfort or challenge, but you can control whether you grow from it or let it break you. That shift in focus from external chaos to internal control is the key to peace of mind, because when your focus is on what's beyond your reach, you live in anxiety. But when your focus is on what's within your reach, you live in power. The human brain hates uncertainty. It craves predictability and security. That's why when something feels uncertain, your mind tries to fill the gap by imagining every possible scenario, especially the negative ones. It's your brain's way of preparing for danger. But in reality, all it's doing is draining your energy. You end up fighting battles that don't even exist yet. The solution isn't to think harder, it's to surrender to the truth that uncertainty is a part of life. You don't need to know how everything will work out. You just need to know that you'll handle it when it comes. That's real confidence. When you overthink, you trade power for illusion. You think you're preparing, but you're really just feeding fear. You tell yourself you're being responsible, but you're really just stalling action. What separates those who move forward from those who stay stuck isn't intelligence or opportunity. It's focus. People who thrive focus their energy on what they can do right now. They don't waste time worrying about what's out of their hands. They act, adapt, and adjust. And because they act, life responds to them. Overthinkers, on the other hand, stay in their heads so long that they miss their moment. When you focus on what you can control, you begin to build trust in yourself. You realize that you don't need to control the storm. You just need to steer your ship. Life will always throw uncertainty your way, unexpected setbacks, rejection, loss, failure. But if your peace depends on everything going your way, you'll never have peace. True strength is being calm in the middle of chaos, knowing that no matter what happens, you can handle it. That's how confidence is born, not from control, but from self-trust. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing where your power goes. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you free up energy for what actually matters, your growth, your decisions, your next move. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf them. Every challenge becomes a lesson, every setback becomes redirection, and every failure becomes feedback. When you approach life that way, fear loses its hold. The moment you shift your focus inward, toward your attitude, your actions, your response, the noise in your mind begins to quiet. You no longer need to predict the future to feel secure because you've built confidence in your ability to face it. That's the paradox. You gain control by letting go of control. Life isn't about mastering circumstances. It's about mastering yourself. Once you understand that overthinking dissolves, you stop asking, what if it goes wrong? And start declaring, whatever happens, I'll make it right. That's real freedom. Indecision is one of the greatest thieves of joy and progress. Most people don't realize that hesitation is just another form of fear. When you overthink, what you're really doing is avoiding commitment. You convince yourself that if you think long enough, you'll find the perfect option, the perfect path, or the perfect outcome. But that's a lie your mind tells to keep you safe. The truth is, there is no perfect choice, only the choice you commit to and make right through action. Life rewards decisiveness because decision is the foundation of movement. Without it, you stay trapped in limbo, not failing, but not growing either. The problem isn't that people don't know what to do. Deep down, they usually do. The problem is that they're afraid to be wrong. They're afraid to make a mistake, to waste time, or to look foolish. So they stay stuck between options, thinking that delaying the decision will somehow protect them from regret. But indecision doesn't protect you. It drains you. It steals your focus, your energy, and your peace. Every day you delay a decision, you strengthen doubt and weaken confidence. Because confidence doesn't come from always being right. It comes from making a choice and learning from it. Successful people aren't more certain than everyone else. They're just more decisive. They understand that clarity comes from movement, not from thinking. They make decisions quickly and adjust as they go. They trust that if they take action, they can always correct their course along the way. Think about it. If a plane flying from New York to Los Angeles waited for perfect weather across the entire country before taking off, it would never leave the ground. It launches, adjusts, corrects, and arrives. That's how life works too. You can't steer a parked car. You have to start moving before direction becomes clear. When you make a decision and commit to it, you send a powerful message to your mind. I trust myself. That self-trust is what breaks the cycle of overthinking, because overthinking is just self-doubt on repeat. The more you hesitate, the more you train your brain to believe you can't handle uncertainty. But when you decide quickly and follow through, you build proof that you're capable. Even when things don't go as planned, you'll learn, adapt, and get stronger. Each decision becomes another brick in the foundation of your confidence. People waste years waiting for the right decision instead of creating the right decision. You don't need to know every step ahead. You just need to take the next one. Action creates feedback, and feedback creates wisdom. The most successful and fulfilled people in the world are not those who never make mistakes. They're the ones who make decisions faster and recover faster. They understand that mistakes are not permanent failures, they're stepping stones. The longer you wait to decide, the more opportunities pass by. Time doesn't stop while you hesitate. Every delay costs you momentum, and momentum is everything. Making decisions quickly doesn't mean being reckless. It means trusting your instincts. Your intuition is built from experience, lessons, and subconscious understanding. The more you act on it, the sharper it becomes. You'll never develop strong intuition by ignoring it. Every decision is a chance to strengthen that inner guidance system. And when you do, life starts to flow more naturally. Opportunities align, energy builds, and things begin to move in your favor. Not because you're lucky, but because you're decisive. In the end, the fear of making the wrong decision is what guarantees you'll never make a right one. You can correct a wrong choice, but you can't correct inaction. The real failure isn't choosing the wrong path. It's refusing to walk it all. Progress belongs to those who decide, commit, and adapt. The moment you stop overanalyzing and start deciding, your power returns. The weight lifts. The fog clears. Because life doesn't wait for people who hesitate. It rewards those who dare to decide. The greatest transformation happens when you stop living in your mind and start living in the present moment. Overthinking pulls you into the past and the future, into memories you can't change or possibilities that haven't happened yet. But life only exists in one place right now. The present is where joy, clarity, and true freedom live. When you're caught in the loop of what if and maybe, you miss the beauty of what's actually in front of you. You miss the laughter, the peace, the simple moments that make life worth living. The mind loves to wander, but your power comes from grounding yourself in the moment you're living right now. Most people live in their heads, replaying old conversations, regretting mistakes, worrying about what might go wrong tomorrow. That's not living, that's surviving. Real living happens when you learn to quiet the noise and tune into what's real. You can't control the past and you can't predict the future, but you can choose how you show up in this moment. That choice is everything, because when you are fully present, your energy stops scattering, your focus sharpens, your emotions settle. You become more alive, more aware, more connected to what truly matters. Living in the moment doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending that challenges don't exist. It means refusing to be ruled by fear or regret. It means taking responsibility for your thoughts and redirecting them toward what empowers you. The mind will always try to drag you back to what's familiar, even if that familiar place is painful. That's why awareness is the first step to freedom. When you notice that your thoughts are pulling you away from the present, you can gently bring yourself back. You can breathe, observe, and choose to engage with what's right here. That small act of mindfulness changes everything. Think about how much of your life you've spent worrying about things that never happened. How many hours, days, even years have you lost inside your own head, replaying what ifs, creating stories, and feeding doubt? Every minute spent overthinking is a minute stolen from your happiness. The moment you shift your focus to now, your anxiety loses its grip. You stop fighting imaginary battles. You start feeling life again, the warmth of the sun, the sound of your breath, The presence of the people around you. That's where peace lives. Not in perfection, not in certainty, but in presence. The most successful and fulfilled people are not the ones who think the most. They're the ones who feel the most. They engage with life directly. They act, they experience, they learn, and they grow. They understand that the present moment is not something to endure, it's something to embrace. When you give your full attention to what you're doing right now, even the simplest things take on new meaning. A conversation becomes connection. A challenge becomes growth. A setback becomes a lesson. The moment becomes enough. Overthinking keeps you stuck in fear, but presence connects you to purpose. When you're fully here, you can listen to your intuition instead of your insecurity. You begin to trust yourself again because you're not drowning in thoughts. You're anchored in experience. That's when creativity flows, relationships deepen, and life starts to feel lighter. You begin to understand that happiness was never about achieving everything. It was about being awake to everything. You stop chasing peace and start creating it from within. Every moment you waste in your head is a moment you lose in your heart. So take a breath. Feel the ground beneath you. Notice what's around you. This moment is your life, not tomorrow, not yesterday, but right now. Don't let your mind steal it from you. You have the power to silence the chaos, to redirect your focus, and to live with presence and purpose. Because when you stop overthinking and start living, you don't just survive, you truly begin to live. Every single one of us has moments when our thoughts become our biggest enemy, when the mind traps us in loops of fear, doubt, and endless what-ifs. But the truth is, life doesn't happen in your head. It happens in front of you, around you, within you. The moment you stop feeding those repetitive thoughts and start engaging with the world again, everything begins to shift. You stop being a prisoner of your mind and become the creator of your reality. You were not born to live in hesitation or anxiety. You were born to move, to feel, to grow, and to create. Every scar you carry has a lesson, every failure carries wisdom, and every challenge holds an opportunity for transformation. Overthinking may have delayed your journey, but it never destroyed your potential. The power to change, to act, to rise, it's still yours. So take a deep breath right now, let go of the past you can't change, and release the future you can't control. Focus on the one thing that truly exists this moment, this breath, this decision. Choose to live now. Choose to take one bold step, even if it's small. Because every step you take in the present is a victory over the fears that once held you back. You don't need everything figured out to begin. You don't need perfection to progress. You just need the courage to take action today. The courage to feel instead of fear, to try instead of overthink, to live instead of wait. When you commit to living fully, not someday, but now, you'll find that the peace, the success, and the joy you were searching for were always waiting for you right here. So go live your life. Make the call, take the risk, speak your truth, step into the unknown. Stop overthinking and start living, because your life is too precious to waste on hesitation. Your time is now. Thank you so much for being here, for choosing to grow, and for having the courage to listen. Remember, you are stronger than your fears, wiser than your doubts, and capable of creating a life far beyond your imagination. Stay bold, stay focused, and keep moving forward. Until next time, take care of your mind, protect your peace, and most of all, live fully. Goodbye for now, and thank you for listening.